As they stepped into Stephen's house, the warmth contrasted sharply with the cold rain that had drenched them outside. White stood by the door, her eyes swollen and red from crying, her body shivering as droplets clung to her soaked clothes. Stephen glanced at her with concern, his voice soft yet firm. Come on, you need to get out of those wet clothes. Go to the guest room. He pointed down the hall and change into something warm. You will catch a cold like this. She hesitated for a moment, looking up at him with tear filled eyes, then nodded and disappeared down the hallway. In the guest room, she found a fresh set of clothes laid out for her. The gesture made her chest tighten. Stephen had thought of everything. She stepped into the bathroom, letting the warm shower soothe her chilled skin, washing away the rain and her lingering despair. Meanwhile, Stephen changed into dry clothes himself, but his mind was on wine. He moved to the kitchen with a sense of quiet purpose. Pulling ingredients from the fridge, he knew her well enough to remember her favorite dishes and set about cooking something comforting, something that might ease the pain he would see in her eyes. Once everything was ready, he made his way back to the guest room and gently knocked on the door. Hearing no response, he pushed it open slightly. Peeking inside, Wine sat on the edge of the bed, dressed in the fresh clothes he would provided, her gaze focused on the floor. Her fingers twisted together in her lap. Hey, Stephen called softly, stepping fully into the room. Dinner is ready. I thought you might be hungry. She looked up slowly, her red rimmed eyes meeting his, and for a brief moment, her guarded expression softened. She opened her mouth to speak, but seemed to hesitate, words catching in her throat. Stephen walked over, sitting on the edge of the bed beside her, leaving a careful distance. I made your favorite, he offered, a gentle smile tugging at his lips, hoping to break the tension. I figured it might cheer you up, even just a little. She managed a small, grateful smile. Thank you, Stephen. She whispered, her voice barely above a murmur. He tilted his head, studying her expression. Do you want to talk about it? He asked gently, or if you would rather just eat in silence. That's okay too. Wine took a deep breath, her hands fiddling with the fabric of her shirt. It's just everything feels so heavy right now. She admitted, her voice trembling. Stephen reached out, hesitated, then placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. You are not alone. You know, I'm here. I'm here as long as you need it. They sat there in silence for a few moments, letting his words sink in. Finally, he stood and extended a hand. Come on, let's go. Eat before it gets cold. You have been through enough today. Let me take care of you tonight. She reached for his hand and they walked together to the dining table, where he would set out a simple, comforting meal. He pulled out a chair for her, watching as she sank into it with a sigh. They ate in quiet companionship, the unspoken support easing some of the weight from her shoulders, And as they shared the meal, Stephen continued to offer her silent encouragement, a presence she didn't have to ask for, but was deeply grateful to have. After dinner, they lingered at the table in comfortable silence, the warmth of the meal still soothing Mine's heart. Stephen looked over at her and offered a small smile. You should rest now. I will make us some tea. She nodded, a gentle look of gratitude in her eyes. Okay, thank you, Stephen. Just as he returned toward the kitchen, Wine began to gather the plates, stacking them in her hands with quiet efficiency. She moved toward the sink, but Stephen noticed and quickly moved to intercept her. Hey, what do you think you are doing? He asked, stepping in front of her and gently stopping her in her tracks. She looked up surprised. I was just going to wash these. It's the least I can do. No way. Stephen shook his head, a playful firmness in his voice. Tonight, you are my guest. Remember, you have done enough already. Put those plates down and let me handle it. She hesitated, glancing from him to the sink, but his hand remained steady on her arm. His eyes warm but unwavering. Stephen, I don't mind, really. Well, I do. He interrupted softly, his lips quirking into a gentle smile. Tonight, I get to take care of you. Go on, sit down, relax. She gave a soft, reluctant sigh but relented, setting the plates back on the table. All right, if you insist. He laughed, the sound warm and comforting. Trust me, I do. Wine settled back into her chair, folding her hands in her lap as she watched Stephen move around the kitchen. The quiet clinking of dishes and the soft hum of running water filled the room, and she couldn't help but feel a sense of calm wash over her. In that moment, she felt safe, cared for in a way she had not allowed herself to feel in a long time. Within minutes, Stephen joined her, two steaming mugs of tea in hand. He set one in front of her, then took his own seat, his gaze meeting hers with a warmth that said more than words ever could. He reached a quiet evening. He sat, raising his mug slightly in a silent toast. She returned the gesture, smiling softly as she lifted her tea. Thank you for everything, Stephen. They sipped their tea in companionable silence, sharing a quiet understanding that for tonight they were each other's refuge. They sat in silence for a few more moments, sipping their tea, letting the warmth settle them both. Finally, Stephen set his mug down, his gaze shifting toward wine with gentle curiosity. Can I ask you something? He began softly. It's about Jungkook. If you are comfortable, can you tell me what happened? She looked down at her tea, her fingers tracing the rim of the mug as she considered his question. A sigh escaped her, heavy and filled with unsaid emotions. It's just no matter what I do, he always believes his mother over me. I have tried to prove myself to him to make him understand, but it's like he doesn't trust me. Not really. Stephen's eyes softened with sympathy as he listened, watching the hurt flicker in her eyes. While he sat quietly, reaching across the table to place his hand over hers. I'm so sorry, that sounds incredibly hard. She nodded, her fingers tightening around the mug as if it might anchor her. It is, I just don't know how to get through to him. No matter how much I try, it's like I'm always a step behind his mother. Stephen squeezed her hands gently. Listen, he said, his voice warm with reassurance. Don't worry, okay? I'm here. I'm always here for you, no matter what. You have someone in your corner, someone who believes you. Her eyes met his, and she felt a flicker of hope. His words were like a lifeline, a reminder that she wasn't as alone as she sometimes felt. Thank you, Stephen, she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. It means more than you know. He offered her a reassuring smile, slowly letting go of her hand. All right, he said, his tone lightening a little. Now you need to rest, get some sleep. It's been a long day. She nodded, grateful for his kindness. Okay, good, he replied, getting to his feet. And remember, if you need anything, I'm just down the hall. Don't hesitate, okay? All right, she agreed, standing up as well. She hesitated before adding softly, Good night, Stephen. Good night, Vine. He replied with a gentle smile, watching her as she disappeared down the hall. As she closed the door behind her, she felt the weight on her shoulders lighten just a bit, knowing that for once someone has truly there for her. The next morning, Wine woke up early, sunlight filtering through the blinds as she stretched, feeling a sense of calm she had not experienced in a long time. She moved through her morning routine, brushing her teeth, washing her face, and gathering her thoughts. But when she finally picked up her phone, her heart sank. There was no messages from Jungkook. No good morning. No, where are you? Not even a simple are you okay? She let out a bitter smile, swallowing the familiar ache. How had it come to this? She thought the man she would once been so in love with had not even noticed her absence. She couldn't imagine a future like this. Always feeling invisible, overlooked, needing him to believe in her, shaking off the sadness, Wine made a decision. She dialed her friend Olivia's number, hoping to change things, to find a bit of independence and maybe a place where she felt valued. Hey, Olivia, she said when her friend picked up. I was wondering, do you know of any job openings? I think I need to start working. Olivia's voice softened, understanding the unspoken story in her tone. Actually, I do know of a place. There is this lovely little restaurant downtown. They're looking for extra help. The manager is a woman, very kind and welcoming. I can give you her number and you can talk to her yourself. Wine's spirits lifted slightly. Really, that would be amazing. Thank you so much, Olivia. Anytime, mind. Olivia replied warmly, give her a call and good luck. Let me know how it goes, okay? I will, Wine promised, feeling a spark of hope as she hung up. She took a deep breath and called the number Olivia had given her. To her relief, the manager, a warm voiced woman, sounded genuinely pleased to hear from her. I would be happy to meet with you, the manager said, her tone kind and encouraging. Let's chat, and if everything sounds good, I think we will have a place for you here. Thank you so much, Wine replied, her voice brightening. After she hung up, she headed out of her room, eager to start her day with a bit of purpose. As she walked into the kitchen, the delicious smell of breakfast greeted her. There was Stephan at the stove, stirring a skillet with easy focus. He looked up as she entered, a warm smile breaking across his face. I was just about to wake you up, he said, gesturing to the table. Come sit. Everything is almost done. She slid into a chair, feeling an unexpected sense of comfort in the scene, her spirits a little lighter. Wine settled at the table, watching as Stephen plated the breakfast he had been preparing. The smell of eggs and freshly toasted bread filled the air, making her stomach rumble. As he set the plate in front of her, she felt a wave of gratitude. Thank you, Stephen. She said, a small smile touching her lips. This looks amazing. I'm glad you think so. I figured you would need a good meal to start the day. She replied, pouring himself a cup of coffee before taking a seat across from her. As they began to eat, Wine took a moment to gather her thoughts. Finally, she took a deep breath, her gaze focused on her plate. Stephen, I wanted to talk to you about something. He looked up, his expression curious and encouraging. Sure, what's on your mind? I have been thinking I want to start working. She confessed, the words tumbling out. I called Olivia this morning and she told me about a job at a restaurant downtown. I just feel like I need to do something for myself. Stephen paused, his fork midair, and then nodded slowly. That sounds like a good plan. Why, if you feel it's the right move for you, then go for it. Really? She asked, a flicker of surprise crossing her face. Absolutely, he affirmed, his tone supportive. But remember, if you ever need help with anything, whether it's advice about the job or just someone to talk to, I'm here for you. I heard warmed at his words, the sincerity in his voice easing some of her apprehensions. Thank you, Stephen. That really means a lot to me. He smiled, his eyes reflecting his genuine care. Just take it one step at a time. You will do great, I'm sure of it. And if that restaurant doesn't work out, there are always other options. Just keep me in loop. I will, she promised, feeling a sense of determination building within her. With Stephen's support, she felt ready to take on whatever challenges lay ahead. After finishing breakfast, Wine felt a surge of determination. He quickly tidied up the kitchen, grateful for Stephen's efforts. Once the dishes were washed and put away, she headed to her room to get ready. She stood in front of the mirror, carefully choosing an outfit that made her feel confident yet comfortable. After slipping into a simple but stylish blouse and a pair of tailored pants, she applied a bit of makeup, just enough to enhance her features. Without feeling overdone, with her hair neatly tied back, she took one last look in the mirror and smiled. This is it, she thought. Today is the day. Grabbing her bag, she took a deep breath and stepped out of her room. I'm heading out, Stephen. She called out. Good luck, he replied from the kitchen where he was cleaning up the remnants of breakfast. You have got this. With a wave, she headed out the door, her heart racing with a mix of excitement and nerves. The restaurant Olivia had mentioned was just a short walk away, and as she approached, she could see its quaint exterior and inviting little place with warm colors and a cozy vibe. Once inside, the aroma of fresh coffee and baked goods enveloped her, calming her jittery nerves. Wine approached the counter where a friendly waitress greeted her. Hi, I'm here to see the manager, she said, trying to sound confident. Of course, she's just in the back. Let me get her for you. The waitress replied, disappearing through a door. A moment later, a woman appeared, her hair tied back in a neat bun, wearing an apron with a warm smile on her face. You must be Wine. I'm Rachel. The manager, Olivia, told me you would be coming by. Come on in. Wine followed her into a small office just off the main dining area. The walls were decorated with local art, giving the space a vibrant yet homey feel. Rachel gestured for her to sit. Olivia speaks very highly of you. Rachel said, her tone friendly and inviting. I'm glad you're interested in working with us. What kind of position are you looking for? I'm open to anything, really. Wine replied, feeling the nervousness start to fade. I just want to be a part of a team and learn as much as I can. Rachel nodded, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. That's a great attitude. We're looking for someone to help with front of house duties. Anything you would fit right in. Do you have any experience in the restaurant industry? Not really. Wine admitted, her cheeks flushing slightly, but I'm a fast learner and really eager to help out whenever I can. Perfect. We value enthusiasm here just as much as experience. Rachel assured her we can train you on the job. How about you start next week? We will work around your schedule. A wave of relief washed over Wine, mixed with excitement. That sounds great. Thank you so much. Rachel smiled warmly. Welcome aboard, Wine. I will have you fill out some paperwork before you go, but I'm really looking forward to having you on the team. As Vine left the restaurant, her heart swelled with a newfound sense of purpose. She had taken the first step forward independence and it felt exhilarating. She couldn't wait to share the news with Stephen and tell him about her new adventure. After a long and tiring day, Wine returned home, fatigue settling heavily in her bones. The day had been a whirlwind of new experiences. From meeting Rachel to adjusting to the bustling restaurant environment, as she stepped through the door, she let out a sigh of relief, grateful to be back in the comforting familiarity of Stephen's house. Just then, she heard the sound of keys jangling. Stephen entered right behind her, his face lighting up with a smile. Hey, how was your day? He asked, noticing the weariness etched on her features. It was good, really. Wine replied, her lips curving into a smile despite her exhaustion. I got the job. Seriously, that's amazing. Stephen exclaimed, excitement lifting her spirits further. We need to celebrate, maybe after dinner. I'm a bit worn out. She sat, stifling a yawn. Fair enough, he replied, moving forward the kitchen. I was about to start our dinner, but if you are up for it, we can cook together. I would love that. Wine sat, feeling a spark of energy return at the thought of sharing the task. Together, they gathered ingredients and began to prepare a simple meal. Laughter and chatter filling the kitchen, the weariness of the day slowly faded as they worked side by side. After dinner was ready, they sat down to eat, savoring the warmth of the meal and each other's company. As they finished, Wine felt a sense of satisfaction wash over her, not just from the food, but from the connection they shared. Thank you for today, Stephen. I really appreciate your support. She sat, her eyes reflecting her gratitude. Always, he replied, returning her gaze with sincerity. Now it's time for some well deserved rest. After cleaning up the dishes, they bid each other good night and headed to their separate rooms. Wine crawled into bed, exhaustion finally catching up to her, and as she off to sleep, she felt a sense of comfort knowing she had a friend like Stephen by her side. Meanwhile, at Jungkook's house, Mrs. June was on the phone with one of her friends. Her voice dripping with a mix of annoyance and triumph. Yes, yes, I did burn Jungkook's shirt, she said, her tone dismissive. But he thinks wine did it. She pressed the shirt this morning, but I accidentally scorched it while I was trying to fix things up. And now that girl has left. And I have to manage all the work around here. She paused, laughing lightly. Thank God you didn't find the note Wine wrote. I told him I didn't see any note and he believed me. Wine is gone now, she added with a smirk, relishing the moment. Just as she spoke, Jungkook entered the room. Having returned home after a long day himself, he paused in the doorway, his expression unreadable. Mrs. Jones' smile faded instantly as she turned to face him. Realization dawning on her. Jungkook, she started, but he raised a hand, cutting her off. You burned my shirt? He asked, disbelief mingling with hurt, and you lied about wine. For a moment, the air was thick with tension as Mrs. Jones struggled to find words, her previous bravado slipping away. Chungkook's gaze was steady, searching hers for the truth, And in that moment, the facade she had constructed began to crumble. I didn't mean to, she stammered, her confidence wavering. It was an accident. An accident? You just blamed it on her. Jungkook shot back, his voice rising. I thought wine was careless, but now I see it's you who is the problem. His words hung heavy in the air, and Mrs. June felt her heart race as she realized she might have pushed him too far this time. Jungkook turned on his heel, leaving her alone in the room, the tension between them thicker than ever. It was all lie. She was innocent.